In this video, I'll show you how to deploy a Spring Boot REST service to a virtual machine in AWS. VM-based deployments are still widely used in the industry, and I think this knowledge is foundational to understanding other options like containerization or the use of orchestration services, for example, using AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So let's get started. Here we have a simple REST service built already that exposes a single endpoint to get available products. So we're currently coding all our products here. And in our service, we simply just return all the products. So let's run this application. So to build, we run this command. And this is going to generate a jar for us. So to run the application, we're going to run java-jar target product service. If you want to run this in a background process, you're going to do the same, but include an ampersand. Okay. So when you do that, this is going to be run in a background process. So what it means is when I press Ctrl+C, the service is still running, and we can call or we can consume the API by running call localhost 8080. Okay. So actually we have products and we get that. We can pipe this to JQ, right? So these are the products. And you can also call the endpoint directly on the browser. So we can go here and call this endpoint, okay? So now knowing how to run our application, we need to get this jar into the cloud on a virtual machine and execute a similar command. First, we need to provision a virtual machine in AWS. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to AWS. I already have an account, and we're going to go to EC2. We're going to type in EC2 here. We're going to click on launch instance. I'm going to name this product service. Okay. I'm going to be using the free tier option, and I'm going to be installing the Amazon Linux AMI. Now, if you want to be able to log into the machine, right, to be able to SSH into the machine, you will need to create a key pair. So I'm going to go ahead and create a key pair. You can name this key pair whatever you want. I'm just going to call it test key pair. I'll leave it as the default RSA, and I want it .pem. Okay, so create that. Now that's going to generate a file, and it's downloaded. You can see here. Now we'll come back to that later. One other thing is your virtual machine is going to be running in a VPC. By default, AWS creates a VPC, a default VPC, and we're going to use that. Now we want to allow SSH traffic, so we're going to keep that checked. If you want to allow traffic, HTTPS traffic, you're going to have to check this one, and also we're going to check this one. You don't have to. We can actually just stick with HTTP traffic, and we want to allow from everywhere, right? The other thing is we need to enable a port 8080 on the virtual machine. We're going to come back to that. So I'll leave the rest and click on launch instance. This is going to take a few minutes. So if we go to instances, we'll see that product service is currently pending. We're going to wait till this is running. Okay, so now it's running. So now that we have our product service instance running, we can click on the instance ID, and then you can see all the settings that we have. Now you can see there's a public IP. There's also a public DNS, which we can click on to open. Now, one thing is currently, if you go to security, you realize that we are not allowing traffic from port 8080 yet. Now, our service currently defaults to port 8080. Now, we can set it to default to 80. But just to understand how we allow traffic on a particular port, I'm going to go ahead and create the inbound rule to allow that. So I'll come here to security groups, click on that, and then I'm going to say edit inbound rules here. I'm going to add a new rule, custom TCP, and I'll open up port 8080, anywhere IP4, and then I'm just going to put test inbound rule here. So I'm going to click on save. This is the rule we created. So now that we have the settings all complete, we can go back to instances. We can connect to our instance by clicking on the connect button and then clicking on connect. So that's one way we can do that. The other option is directly from our console, our desktop, we can SSH directly into the virtual machine with the help of the key that we generated earlier. So let's go ahead and do that. So we click on connect again, and we can see that we have an SSH client. Here, it shows you how to connect directly using the key. So I currently have my key in downloads. I'm going to move it to my home directory and then SSH folder. Change directory into that. And then here, right, we need to change the permissions of the key. I'm just going to copy that. And then we can connect. And now I have connected into my virtual machine. Now, what we want to do is move the jar file directly from here to the virtual machine. But first, there's no Java installed on this machine. So our service uses JDK 17, and we need to install that in our virtual machine. To do that, we're going to run this command. Actually, I'll just show you how to get to it. You can just go to Google and type install Java 17 on EC2. So we can actually go to documentation here. So I'm just going to copy this command and type yes. We're going to wait a few minutes for this to complete. So that's done. Now, if I type Java version, now I see that I have the Java runtime on the virtual machine. Now, the next step we need to take is now to copy our jar directly to the virtual machine. And there are different options we can use. We can use the SCP to copy directly from local machine to the remote machine. That's one option. The other option is you can push your code to GitHub, and you can download your code directly from GitHub into your virtual machine. But for simplicity, we're going to use SCP in this tutorial. Now, to copy our file, our jar file from our dev desktop, I'm going to go ahead and do SCP. Then we're going to go to where our SSH file is. So that's our PEM file. And then the name of the file we want to copy, the directory to it, and then the location of where we are copying into on our virtual machine. Here, I'm going to just do pwd. So this is a path where I want to copy to. This is the username. And then let me create a directory here, app. Currently, there is nothing in here. Okay, this is the path. I'm going to just paste that here, enter. Okay, so that didn't work because I need a public IP. So I'm going to copy the public IP instead. So this should be the public IP. And then I'm going to type yes. And that should upload the file to the virtual machine. So let's go back here and do ls. Okay, so cool. So now we have our file uploaded. And then we can go ahead and run the application. So our application started on port 8080. Now we can go back to the browser and try to hit the service, the public IP address here. Actually, I'm just going to copy that. And because there's nothing listening on port 80. Okay. So Now product. Ah, sorry. Yeah, we didn't open an HTTPS port. So I'm gonna remove that. Okay, cool. Yep, we are successfully deployed our application on EC2. Now, one thing I want to say is right, if I hit Control C, the process is gone, right? So if I come back here and I refresh, you can see that the application is killed. I can also start the application in a background process by putting an ampersand. Now, if I do Control C, I'm still able to hit the service. If this video has been of any help to you, comment, let me know, like, and then subscribe. Thank you for watching.